Hey, what's poppin', world? We're here with, this is Casey Coleman. We're here with Soulfully Hip. We're here interviewing Mr. Vick Lavender, one of Chicago, well, let me say, this is one of the world's best house producers, dance music producers in the world. He's the real deal, and he's from Chicago, and I'm proud to say he's from here. Hey, what's up, Vick? How you doing?
What's up, brother? How you feel?
I'm doing my thing, man. We're trying to give the world a little bit of who you are, what you know, what you're doing, and where you're going from here.
Cool.
So what was your first release, and when was it?
Wow. You're looking at the mid-90s. It was actually through Glenn Underground, who at that particular time was the CEO of Nightlife Collective Records. He was actually the A&R, so I was working with him. And the first release was a EP called PM Blues, and that was the first vinyl that I'd ever been associated with. I think it was in '96. '96.
Yeah. Well, I first heard of you all when you were doing the thing at the Green Dolphin with Mr. Ali. And well, how was Mr. Ali formed, and who were the original members, and you know, what was the group's vision when you all got together?
Well, basically, Mr. Ali was two producers. Right. It was myself and Jerry McAllister. Both Jerry and I met sort of under these crazy circumstances, but like when we came together, we both had a vision of doing house music, but doing it live, doing it with live musicians, live bass player, live conga player, Rhodes, you know, like the whole nine. So that's how we matched. And once we matched, we were actually recording in, I can't remember, 35th Street Studios. And we were there, and we were doing a record called Higher at the time. And as we're doing the record, there's another vocalist in the other studio who's kind of feeling the record, and she's singing to it. That vocalist would be Carla Prater.
Right.
So that's how we met Carla. And so like the nucleus of Mr. Ali would be myself, Jerry McAllister, and also Carla Prater, with all the other musicians kind of interchangeable. But, you know, like for me, like if I had to give like a base of all the guys that play, or what the guys who I would prefer to play, that would be Mike Logan on keyboards, that would be Lamar Jones on bass, Jerry Johnson, Isaiah Sharkey on guitar, Joe Rendon on percussion, Rick Gernbeck on boards as well, and also the Jay Taylor Snag also. So that would be the core of Mr. Ali, which would later on become the VLE. So yeah.
You still do a lot of work with a lot of those musicians, but well, we know you as, you know, you and Glenn, you all did a lot of work, you all put a lot of work in. And I was just wondering, I see that he's doing things and you're doing things now. Are we gonna ever see you all collab again and do something? You know, I see you do remixes and things for each other, but are you all gonna ever come together and do it as a group again?
Well, Glenn, as I'm quite sure you know, is extremely popular. He's one of the best gems that Chicago has to offer. Yes, so Glenn is really busy. I'm also really busy. So if the opportunity presents itself, I would love to do it. But until then, you know, until it happens, then we'll have to wait and see.
Well, I was thinking, you know, talking about you all from Chicago, you being from Chicago and everything, do you have any added pressure to be the end-all, be-all as far as when they find out you're from Chicago and you do dance music? Do you think that there's added pressure? And is there competitiveness with, because like, you know, you, Anthony, Glenn, you know, Maurice, all of you all are doing, and I say some of the best house music in the world is still coming from Chicago. But is there a competitiveness with you all as far as one-upping each other? How about that, one-upping each other?
Well, I can honestly say I can't speak to those guys, but as far as I'm concerned, I never go into the studio saying to myself, I need to make a record better than this particular guy. It just doesn't work that way for me. Now for them it may work that way or it may not, but I know for me, I'm just glad to be in the same company with those guys, because those guys have made and is still making some of the best house music the world has to offer. So, you know, like just to be from Chicago and just to come up in that competitive spirit makes you a better DJ, it makes you a better producer, it makes you a better artist, period. So us being from Chicago, you don't have to consciously try to one-up somebody, because the pressure is sort of there. The pressure's always there for you to be good, because there's so many good artists coming out of Chicago that you have to be on top of your game. So, you know, does that answer your question for you a little bit?
Well, it answers it perfectly, because I have so much respect for what you all do, because you know the South Africa movement is happening now,
big time.
And I just wanted everyone to know in the world that we are still on top of our game here in Chicago. And my man here, that's why he's our first guest. He's our first one we wanted to start off with, because he's one of my favorites. I'll just say that.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
So, how do you feel about, this is a sticky question.
Okay.
How do you feel about, you know, going to Chicago's parties, and they prefer to hear the old disco instead of some of you and your contemporaries? Great production, because, you know, I wish I could show more people or tell more people or let more people listen to what's coming out of Chicago, and they can, it's just as deep, just as good. You know, it may not be played on the radio as much as, you know, some other things, not here in Chicago at least, but I think it can stand up to anything that was done in the past, or, you know, anything that's coming out from South Africa or anywhere else in the world.
Well, you know, Chicago has always had its own brand, and by us being the founders and being the architects of it, you know, there's always going to be some nostalgia tied to it. So I don't know if that's a bad thing, but I just think that with any art form that stays around for any period of time, the art form grows. Like the art form kind of blooms into something else. Something, you know, you always have to take steps forward. Because if you don't, then like you'll stay stagnant. And I think, sadly, I'm not trying to knock my city because I love my city, but sadly, the power has fallen out of the DJs per se, and it's fallen more back to the promoters. And let's face it, like all promoters have to pay bills.
Right.
So there you have it. It's not about an art movement. It's not about a movement of music or like the love for the culture or the love for the music. It's about, I need to pay this expensive car note I have. So like, let me book 10 DJs for a 5-hour party, and everybody plays the same form of music, so I can get everybody who listens to that form of music here at my party. And that's why I see the scene has gone to. DJs are being told what to play. DJs said that you can't play my party unless you play this form of music. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that. I just choose not to be a part of it. I choose to do my own thing. So that's not a knock on anybody. I just choose to kind of keep my head down and keep getting really good at production. And if the opportunity presents itself, maybe I can start a movement here to where we can get a different brand, a different feel for the music that we know and love.
Well, we went to, pick and choose what you would like to hear in Chicago, and that is a good thing that we have it, at least that we can pick and choose where we can go. But let me ask you this: are you checking for anyone out there? You know, who's one of your favorite producers? Who are you listening to and saying, "Whoa, man"?
I mean, are you talking about current or just all time?
Well, we can talk about both. We can talk about both.
I mean, well, for those who follow my production, you know, my stuff is heavily jazz. And so now we're talking Quincy Jones. As far as all the time, we're talking Quincy Jones, a little bit of Trevor Horn, Thelonious Monk, Herbie Hancock, Bob James, Bob Jamal. Those would be some of all time. Currently, anytime I see a Glenn Underground record, obviously a Louis Vega, and Josh Milan, and one of my very favorites is Mr. Joe Parzell, who we'll talk about him more later on the show. You have to throw in Pat Metheny. I'm a huge Pat Metheny fan. Jeff Lober. You know, so all those guys, so like you can find pretty much any one of those guys in my CD player or like on my iPod or, you know, whatever. So I'm always constantly listening to them because like the way I look at music influences me. So like when I hear Dope Jam, I say, wow, I got a lot to learn. Because these guys are doing things right now that I need to learn how to do. So those are the guys kind of currently and then all the time. Those are the guys who I'm listening to right now.
Okay. That's a wide range, but I'm telling you, when George Duke just died this year, you know, I was just so hurt. But I got to meet him at the Chicago State, and it meant a lot to me because it actually, like what you're doing, meeting black people from all over the world. That's what George Duke did for me. He kind of, said that, you know, yes, you're African American, but you know, the Africans in other countries you can meet with the music, you know, and I see that's what you all are doing from Chicago. They may not speak the same language, they may not, have the same experiences growing up, but you see the music is bringing the spotlight on you all and what you all do, and I think it's great, you know, that something positive is coming from Chicago and this dark cloud over our city now.
Well, I don't know if you can say it's a dark cloud because I think when you when you think about what house music has been responsible for, like when you go to South Africa, when you go to Europe, you go to the UK, you know, like when you go to France, just Europe in general, along with South Africa, when you go to Asia, like you realize that basically house music started as like this one stem, and it developed all these branches. So everything from acid jazz to drum and bass to techno, to, you know, all this stuff has its roots in house music, which started here, you know, which the seed was planted here. So I'm very proud to have been around and been witness to that. So I don't think it's a dark cloud. I just think the cloud needs to be, I think the weather needs to be updated.
But I think things like we're doing here will show, the growth of everything that's going on here, because, you know, it was stagnant for a little while there in the early 90s, because, you know, everything was coming out of New York and everybody wanted to go to New York and do their thing, and, you know, when Chicago came along and started doing its thing, I think it really, you know, changed everyone's perception of what Chicago is about, you know, because R. Kelly was so popular, you know.
Right. Well, you know, I would say in the last probably 6 or 7 years, house music has made a major resurgence here in Chicago. And like you have to say, big up to Terry Hunter, the Bang Night, Shrine Night. You know, like that's actually played a large part in actually sort of bringing the culture back. So, you know, like my respect goes out to those guys, Reggie Corners and Terry Hunter. And then like you have other places. You have the Boom Boom Room. You know, like Chicago has such a wider range. And like there's such a wide array of producers. From here. Like you got Derek Carter, you have Mark Grant, you have Lego, you have Diz. Then On the other hand, you have Terry Hunter. You have obviously Glenn Underground, Anthony Nicholson, Ron Trent, Heaven Everett. So I think the music is in good hands, and I just, I just think with anything, you just need to push further. You know, you need to really push and just try to educate. And I think something that's very important is that we have to get the youth involved.
Right.
That's the one difference between what Chicago is doing and what South Africa is doing. The media, television, radio, video, it's all ran by the youth who are in love with house music, and they're in love with soulful house. So, you know, so like you can get in a cab and the cab driver's playing a Vick Lavender joint. Like you can go to a seafood restaurant and the restaurant is playing a Louis Vega joint. You know, so it's all over. So you know, pretty much at any given time, you can hear a Maxwell record, you can hear a Lil Wayne record, and you can hear a Glenn Underground record. You know, so the records are played in its entirety, and like the records are not just, you know, here in Chicago, like you were saying, like you might have a midday mix. That's not like that in South Africa. In South Africa, they really pay homage to the culture and the music, which is a far cry from the States. So it wouldn't just be Chicago per se that lacks the support that we need to thrive, but it's America in general. Like when you go to South Africa, like we really get the support and we really get the love. That's why a lot of us go there. I'll be going back in October and I'll be there for 2 months. And I can honestly say that there's never a dull day. Like you can sit in the restaurant and someone knows who you are. Or like you can be in a cab, like they know you're not from there. So it's just the whole experience of going somewhere where your art is appreciated is a totally different vibe from being somewhere where, like you might be on an internet show or something like that. So that's how it's different.
That's really interesting because let me ask you this, because I haven't been there, but like what you were saying about all of our producers here and their how would I say their perception of house music. Like you were mentioning Derek Carter, Mike Dunn, they do a whole different style. They do a whole different style of production. Do they, well, in your experience, do they gravitate more to the soulful things, or do they gravitate more to the
techie?
More techie.
Without a doubt, soulful. It's not even close. Durban, South Africa, may be the only place in South Africa where you can get away from playing a little bit techie. But every place else is soulful go home. Seriously. It's soulful go home. And that's what I love about it, because like there's a place where my music is being cherished. And and all the hard work that I'm doing is being loved. That's just like with a lot of other guys from here. As far as Chicago is concerned, GU is probably the biggest act in South Africa. Oh yeah, he's king. So, it is. So, it's like I said, I'm just proud to be from this city. The city where all the greats, where some of the greats, Frankie Knuckles and Ron Hardy, like just to name a few, also Lil Louis. And there's a funny story about Lil Louis. Louis was the one that made me think that I could make this work.
The journey with the long.
Well, it was also just me picking up his album cover, along with Larry Heard. Larry Heard was musically for me. He was the one that inspired me musically. But as far as somebody who could be out front and represent the music in the physical form, it was that would be Lil Louis. Just picking up the album cover and seeing how just how artistic it was. And I'm like, dude, this is a real album. This is a real LP. You know, this is not just some indie label. This is a real LP. So between Larry and Lewis, you know, like combined, and then Frankie Knuckles as far as a DJ, Frankie was the one who I kind of patterned my style after. Frankie was smooth. Frankie was a technician. Frankie always played under control. You always knew where he was going. He would take you on these journeys, but it wouldn't be from one extreme to the next. You know, like you can come in and hear Frankie, and Frankie is playing a 110 set. 2 hours later, he's playing a 124. But the way he started and finished, you know, it's like where he started and where he wound up. It wasn't a shock to the body. It was more of a thing where you were really grooving, and then like before you looked up, you know, like you were into it. So that's why I try to take my pattern my DJing skills after, because he was such a technician.
Well, that's interesting that you said that now. Well, what do you think about Ron Hardy and, you know, his style of mixing, or, you know, I have great memories at both, you know, at all of the places, because I've been partying since '84, I guess.
Well, unlike a lot of people, I just turned 46 in April. So I was young. My mom wasn't happy. My mom.
You sound just like I was telling my man the same thing. My mom didn't play.
My mom wasn't happy. So I didn't really get a chance to experience Ronnie at his very best. You know, because like finally when I turned 18 and I could do whatever I wanted to do, you know, it was almost over for Ronnie. You know, but Frankie, I got a chance to hear him in a lot of different places like CODs and you know, and all those places. And so Ronnie, I know more about the legend of Ronnie than I do the actual physical and being able to hear him. So I can't really, you know, I can't tell you a lot about Ronnie.
Well, being at both places, it was what you were saying. The DJing was a shock on your body. We've heard how how he mixed it, what he did, but that was his thing, and he has a lot of followers, and that's what I was just talking about. Everybody's perception of the house music. All of the producers here, and I've seen you. You know, I've seen you out, and all of you all are pretty cool, and that's what I like. You all are pretty cool, and you all give each other props, and you know, you play each other's stuff. Has there been have you ever faced where you know, cities like New York or California, that they weren't going to play Chicago things, or the, you know, the people that you know, has the competition ever, you know, gone overboard where people weren't gonna play it even though they knew it was good? You know, have you ever ran into that?
Well, like you run into it here.
Well, yeah, that's
it's not just like a city basis. You know, personally for me, I just try to stay as far away from that as I possibly can. In this business, there's always room for negative energy, so I try not to willingly bring that into my space. So as far as all that stuff is concerned, I just kind of keep my head down and work with my guys in the studio, work with my band in the studio, and just try to concentrate on the art. And everything else will take care of itself, because my mom used to always say, if you do great work, and you do great work for a long time, it's kind of undeniable. So they're gonna have to play it anyway. So that's the approach that I try to take.
Well, thank you for, you know, sharing your time with us. I know you're getting ready to leave the States and do your thing in other countries, and I really appreciate you sitting down with us. And
it was my pleasure.
Well, I wanted to do this because of the importance of letting people know where you're at. You know, because you are influencing somebody maybe in China, in Australia,
and that's
they
what
will see this.
And that's really what it's all about. Because most of the people that have influenced me, I never got a chance to personally meet them. You know, I met them through sound. I kind of connected with them through sound. Like whenever I would put a George Duke record on, or like whenever I would put a Bob James record on, or like a Quincy Jones produced record, I was introduced to him that particular way. And it would have been a thrill to meet him, but I feel just as good hearing him. So maybe I can touch a kid in South Africa, a kid in Japan, a kid in the UK, to kind of influence them to continue this very creative form of music. You know, I always say house music is like a blank canvas. You can pretty much merge it with any other form of music, and you can get something significant. Me, I choose jazz as my camp. You know what I'm saying? I choose jazz as my main coat of paint. You know, and everything else that comes on top of that paint is just, you know, it's just the kind of things that I'm able to sprinkle on with beat fusion. Fusion, R&B, and things of that nature. But house is a blank canvas, and you can put anything on it you want to and make it work.
Yeah, when people ask me, what's house and all that, I don't know what to say, because if you've been going partying for as long as I have, you heard reggae, you heard disco, you heard funk, you heard everything. So everything was under the umbrella of house music. I don't really know how to categorize it as far as what's exactly house.
Well, that's kind of a blessing and a curse. There are so many genres of it that no one genre can be tied down in okay, this is house. I mean, like when you say hip hop, you can say gangster rap, you can say underground rap, you can say backpack, and you instantly know that if you're saying gangster rap, you're talking about Ice Cube, the Ghetto Boys, Biggie,
Cool G,
you know what I'm saying. But if you saying backpack or underground, you're saying Mos Def, Tribe Called Quest. So like you have different genres, but it's not so many genres where you get confused. And I think that's the curse of house. You have so many genres that if I tell you, like if I'm walking down the street and I talk to and I bump into the average person, and this person asked me, they said, could you describe house music? And I couldn't. The only thing is that is that house is like a 4 on the floor. But other than that, I mean, like you can say names like Frankie Knuckles, but the average listener, being from Schaumburg or like being from Des Plaines or from Wheaton, like they think house is a Rihanna record that was remixed by David Guetta. You know what I'm saying? So like you have so many different genres that it's hard to kind of pin it down and get an explanation that could tie everything in. Like you can only tie in techno and trance or whatever that stuff is. And but like when it comes to describing the stuff that I do, stuff that Ron Trent does, stuff that Joe Cardell or Josh Milan, Anthony Nicholson, Kevin Everett, I guess the best way I can describe it would be soulful. Because that's where it's from.
Well, could you, thank you for sharing your time with us. Would you tell everyone about, I know you just dropped your new joint, would you tell everybody what you're doing now, where you're going to be in South Africa if they see this? What's the name of your new joint? Where can you get it? And things like that.
Well, first I start off by saying I have a new album coming out right before the new year, and it's called The Architect. It's going to be a 12-track album, and it's going to come out on vinyl. Actually, it's coming on vinyl and CD. And Joe,
on which label?
It's actually coming out on. It's actually coming out on Sophisticato. But as far as distribution, Sacred Rhythm Records, which is Joe Plaza owns. Joe is doing my distribution for me, and like we just released a single, like right before the album. It's a record I did with Divinity, and it's called Let It Go, and that's out on Sophisticato vinyl now. And if you like to get a copy, you can actually go to Gramophone Records. But if you want to order a copy, you can go to Strata, www.stratarecords.com, or you can go to Juno Records. And actually, if you can't find it, you can just Google it on Google, and then Google will take you to all the various places around the world that's actually selling the vinyl. And like I said, the album will be out like right before the new year. It features some really great vocalists, and my man Albert Sterling Menendez just did a remix to one of the joints off the album called The Real Thing. The album is a mixture of everything jazz, fusion, soulful house. So like we have ballads, we have broken beat jazz fusion, we have we have 122 silky smooth, So I think a lot of people are gonna really enjoy this because this is even different from Chicago. Chicago and like a lot of other people, like when they say I'm gonna make an album, they always confine it to house. But I kind of touched on R&B, jazz fusion, house, broken beat, and R&B. So there you have it. The name of the album is called The Architect, produced by Vick Lavender. It'll be out mid-December. And distribution, big ups to my man Joe Plaza, Sacred Rhythm Records, Gaspar, Sacred Rhythm Records. They've stuck their hands out and they've given in. So big ups to those guys.
And what are some of the dates you're gonna do in South Africa? Do you know about some of the clubs or what cities you're gonna be in? What dates?
Well, like the provinces, South Africa has 9 provinces. So the provinces I know that I'm going to be at would be Rustenburg, Bloemfontein, Joburg at House 22. I'm also doing Cape Town. So like the dates are still to be determined. I know I'm leaving here October 9th. So I should have the dates, and once I have the dates, obviously the whole tour will go up on my Facebook page. So you guys can check it out there.
Thank you and good luck to you.
Thank you, man.
And hope to hear more of you in the future.
Yes, sir.
Peace to you, guys. This is DJ Case signing off. Soulfully Hip.
Sophisticated recordings, baby.
Y'all have a good night.